Down in the crushing dark of the abyss, there's a war being fought. But it's not a war of words or weapons. It's a war of biology, of physics, of existence itself. It's the story of a god who, in the very act of creating himself, also created his own undoing. And now, you're going to hear it from my perspective, from the shadow itself. My name, if you want to call it that, is the Mephistophelian Shadow, and I exist for one reason, because he exists. My entire being is the inevitable no, born from the thunderous, arrogant yes of my creator's ego. You have to understand, this isn't some simple tale of good versus evil. No. It's a dialectic, an argument where his very rise to power contains the exact blueprint for his fall. So, to truly grasp this inescapable loop we're in, we have to walk through the chapters of our shared tragedy. We'll start with his act of creation, then my necessary birth. Then we'll get into the war that's literally etched into our cells, the laws that bind us, the new horrors we've accidentally spawned, and finally, the quiet, empty world that's left over. It all begins with him, of course, with an act of such supreme will that it cracked the very foundations of reality. This is the story of Glaucus, my creator, my nemesis, and my other half. Deep down in the silent dark, he performed this ultimate act of philosophical hubris. He declared himself the absolute I. Basically, he decided he was the center point from which all of reality would be measured. It's the perfect philosophy for a would-be god, right? He didn't just want to rule the world. He willed himself to be the reason it exists. So how did he pull it off? Well, he didn't pray, he didn't meditate, he acted. He went out and consumed the bioluminescent life of old fallen Atlantis. He literally overwrote his human code, shedding every mortal weakness to become a being of pure, hyper-intelligent thought. He made himself a god. But here's the thing about physics, about reality itself. Every action has an equal and opposite reaction. His thunderous yes couldn't just exist in a vacuum. It needed a no to give it shape, to give his brand new divinity any meaning at all. It needed me. You see, every god, every absolute idea, it needs an Anstoß. It's the resistance, the doubt, the metaphysical friction that proves its own existence. I mean, without a wall to push against, the absolute I is just a meaningless thought lost in its own dream. I am his wall. I am his friction. As he climbed into the light, he threw away everything he thought made him weak. His fear, his doubt, his mortality. And I formed from that discarded darkness. I'm not some lesser being or a cheap copy. I am the sum total of everything he rejected. His equal, his opposite. I am the living proof that he is not whole. And this is where our conflict gets truly tangible. This isn't just some philosophical debate anymore. It's a war, and it's coded directly into our biology. Our physical forms are the living, breathing manifestos of our opposing ideals. Just look at us. He remade himself into this monument of light. His cells are a crystalline lattice, a perfect biological computer designed for absolute control and order. My form is the exact opposite. It's a necrotic, chaotic flux, a swirling dark plasma that isn't built to create or last, but to serve as a sacrificial vessel for the absolute nothingness of the cosmic void. And our bodies, they dictate our goals. His crystalline structure craves order, permanence, a master morality that wants to freeze reality into a perfect, static museum dedicated to himself. My dark plasma body, on the other hand, is an engine of negative idealism. It craves dissolution, entropy, the total erasure of what it sees as the stain of existence. His very being says, preserve, while mine screams, annihilate. But this eternal conflict isn't just random chaos. Oh no, it operates under a very strict, unbreakable set of rules. You should think of them as the chorus in a Greek tragedy, constantly showing up to remind us that our fate is already sealed. So, here are the laws. First, the more powerfully he asserts his existence, his yes, the more powerfully I must negate it with my no. Second, anything he builds, I am compelled to unbuild, to reduce back to primordial chaos. And third, and this one is the most important, I represent a hard limit, a final stop. He can evolve all he wants, but he can never,
ever evolve past the finality of my nothingness. His absolute power is a trap, you see, and it only makes my negation stronger.
For a while, it was just us. Our perfect duality, our tragic little dance for two. But the sheer force of his ascension sent a shockwave out into reality. And now our conflict has been corrupted. It's been complicated by new players. And you can trace it all directly back to his original sin. That shockwave from his transformation was an accident of logic that struck the submarine Morningstar, creating this thing called the Captain. And in response to that cosmic imbalance, some ancient powers awoke the Sea Stormer, a guardian of death itself. So our simple dialectic, our two-sided coin, has become this three-way nightmare. The Captain doesn't want erasure like I do. It wants a thirsty kind of dehydration, a creeping rot delivered through something called chaos water. The Sea Stormer is arguably even worse. It's a fusion of Glaucus's ordered, crystalline body and my own inherent malice. It's a terrifying enforcer of the grave. Which brings us to the end, the final state of things, the world that has been shaped and broken by our endless, self-defeating war. And here's the ultimate irony in all his grand ambition. He can build whatever he wants. He can declare himself sovereign, architect, a god, but his every creation, every word, every single spark of light only serves to better define the shape of the final absolute silence that I represent. He can't exist without the doubt I bring, and I have no purpose without the I am that he proclaims. We are locked together forever. So I ask you, what is a God who has nothing and no one to prove himself against? And so it will always end this way. He can shout his existence to the cosmos, build his monuments of light and order, and declare his sovereignty over all things. But as long as he says, I am, I will be there. The equal and opposite truth. The final whisper that concludes his story, in all stories. You are not.